If you're somebody who is desperate to become more attractive to girls, who is trying to improve himself and become more masculine, your Instagram reels and your TikTok shorts are probably filled with a shit ton of content where these guys go out on the street and interview not very intelligent women who would say that they would cheat on their significant other for less than $100 or things like that. You see these OnlyFans models who clearly aren't very educated or don't have amazing parents give ridiculous views on really stupid things. And because that is your main exposure to female connection, you have this subconscious idea, as much as you hate to admit it, and as much as maybe you do know it, you can't help but look at women in sort of a condescending manner. And you actually don't like that about yourself. You really don't want to do that. You hate that feeling and you feel kind of lesser about yourself because you think that way. I want to tell you how I used to think that all women are liars and held on to this stupid idea, and how I let go of it slowly. This might not sound very ideal at all, but it's kind of proof that I've become more forgiving and more loving and more integrated with the world around me, but I have more promiscuous girlfriends, and I understand that it's not so black and white. It's not so simple that, you know, a girl who is promiscuous, fucks around and has terrible principles means that she's inherently evil and disgusting. It's not that simple. And although my values don't align with them, I have made great friends that, you know, don't share the amazing principles that I have as a holy and very not promiscuous kind of guy. In the past, when I was in secondary school and really growing up from being a teenager, when I started to change, when I started to improve myself, what really propelled me to start trying to get more attractive, to start hitting the gym, was thinking about how many lies women have told me growing up. I held on to that idea because it really helped to fuel me, and it was almost addicting. Growing up, you know, all my aunts, all the girls around me, they say how nice I am. They say how selfless I am, how much I give up for other people, you know. They showed me love for being selfless, altruistic, kind, someone who would sacrifice their own desires and their own time for another person. And they complimented me for that. They praised me for that. They validated me and showed me that I'm valued for that. And I thought that that was what made me the better man. And if you were the better good man, you're going to be more attractive to women. And because I subconsciously on the inside, I know that my desire is that I want to attract more women. I want that wonderful anime love story, right? And I thought that being that better man, as my mom told me, as the aunts told me, being that better, kind, considerate guy is gonna get me more girls. So I kept going on with it to the point where I was texting this girl once. She had a boyfriend, and I said some shit like, you know, if he does something to you, I'll protect you, you know, I will crush him and shit like that. You know, I texted that unironically like an absolute buffoon. What a retard. And I would do this for many girls growing up in secondary school, wishing that other girls would find me more attractive because I did that, because I was selfless. And I was always there for them, and I was always available, and I always said the perfect things, and I never offended anyone. I never make any jokes that could potentially offend anyone. I never asked for anything. And I thought that's how you would connect with girls. But really, that was a manipulation tactic. Being a nice guy in order to get what I want, expecting certain things while masking it as selflessness and altruism. So because I fell for these lies, but really it's because I'm a fucking idiot, I lived my life to these very set rules whereby I restricted and suppressed myself a lot and didn't let myself express myself to the extent that I wanted to. And I never got the genuine relationships that I really desired, or I never got a girlfriend, and no girl ever fucking liked me or spoke to me in any flirtatious way whatsoever. You know, they just kind of milked me for my attention before hopping over to their fucking alpha chat Malay trash can boyfriend. So I used these emotions, this hatred that, you know, I was never attractive growing up. I used this hatred, I pointed it towards women because they were the ones who lied about what was attractive. And I started hitting the gym. I started, you know, getting on this red pill stuff, this masculinity stuff, what was known to be attractive, watching Hamza, listening to Andrew Tate. I even bought the fucking Rational Male by Rollo, don't know what his last name is. And I started really, you know, trying to learn game. What makes a guy attractive? You know, I read Models by Mark Manson and shit like that. And after I kind of learned game, and I got more fit and more competent to the point where I could hold some reliable positions in school, where that brought me more opportunities to speak to girls and make more friends and speak to other guys who know how to attract girls. I eventually did start speaking to girls and eventually did start making friends with girls. And today, these girls that I used to hate, that I used to wonder, how can they be so fucking stupid to say this, they have this kind of standard. Guys should be this, and then date an absolute trash can. Absolutely fucking bedazzled me. But now that I'm friends with all of them, you really start to understand and really start to see it really isn't so simple at all. As much as we want to criticize them for using trash can guys as vices, being promiscuous, being more open with their, sexual tendencies, we have plenty of vices ourselves. It isn't any less shameful realistically that we stroke our worm to cartoon images of, sexy women with long hair and humongous tits bouncing in front of our screens, right? It isn't any less shameful that we play visual novels making relationships and connections with these PNGs that go up and down. At some point of their life, relied on something that would be considered unhealthy or something that is incredibly shameful. And the extent of how bad it is for our health is almost entirely decided by what society thinks. I think that since we all have our own vices, what needs to happen is we all need to make educated choices. I think that's right. For example, if a girl is going to fuck around, she should know that. For example, if a girl is going to be promiscuous, she's going to fuck around, she should not expect, a very loving, charismatic, secure, and very well put together guy as a future husband, because they're just not going to be compatible because their goals don't align, right? Same way as if you're going to spend a lot of your time playing games and stroking your worm to hentai, you shouldn't be expecting to be an incredibly attractive and successful guy. So we pick our vices and we pick our consequences in consequence of that. Just because a girl chooses to fuck around and get touched by 28 guys in one night doesn't make them inherently evil. They haven't done anything evil to you, but you feel that way because subconsciously the scarcity of women, the lack of female connection has made you overcompensate. You get frustrated that you don't have control over female attraction. Truthfully, when you look at your goals, right, does this hatred towards these stupid women align with anything that you truly want? It literally doesn't matter. You really don't care about it. If you were an attractive guy who has plenty of girlfriends, there'll come a point where you go, what the hell am I doing? Because when you have a genuine connection with one of these people that you will find to be disgusting, she is just another person with her own vices. You've been holding on to this anger for way too long and you need to let go of it and start focusing on the right things, because this pointless anger towards women isn't going to make you more attractive, isn't going to bring you more options, isn't going to make you seem more masculine or more cutthroat and more visionary, attractive kind of guy, isn't going to bring you the success you want, the money you want, the fame you want. It's just a huge distraction and doesn't provide you any value at all. And let me give you the quickest crash course for how you can go from absolute retard to, having at least a little bit of success and making some friends. You know what differentiates you from the trash can asshole ugly guy who seems to be a little bit less attractive than you but can still get the goal? The difference is he believes he deserves it and you don't. All this time you've been trying to perform at a certain level. You believe you're here and you believe that you have to act this way in order to get this goal. And because of that, you reinforce the fact that you are here. You reinforce in your head that you have to perform at this level in order to be attractive to her, in order to be on her level. So not only are you reminding yourself that you are actually below her and you have to act this way in order to be attractive to her, and you can't just be who you are naturally, you are also reminding yourself that you are fundamentally inadequate and that if you are not performing, then you are not at your highest quality. If you speak to a girl and you find yourself to start to perform, maybe you purposely deepen your voice, maybe you purposely speak less to her, maybe you act more nonchalant. If you find that you're doing any of these things, it means that you see yourself as below her. It means that you have subconsciously pedestalized her. Even though you subconsciously look at women as below you because of all the shit you've been consuming, you still see yourself as below her because you lack female attention, and that scarcity is what made you angry in the first place. So if you want to actually be more attractive, you need to get rid of this performance thing and realize that girls will still like you and speak to you even when you're not performing, even when you're at this base level. The day where you can relax on this performance and be at this base level and find out that you are still attractive and they still like you, not only will you hate them less, not only will you find less reasons to dislike them and shame them for their promiscuous nonsense, but you will also attract more girls because they see you as how you see yourself. If you see yourself as above them, you will act in that way and girls will find that attractive. Just because you have presented yourself subconsciously through your mannerisms, through the way you speak and how you offer your help and what you're willing to say, they can see that you have given yourself a high valuation, and they will infer from your actual value from how you present yourself. And let me give you a really cool statistic here, right? I don't know the exact numbers, but 70% of women would rather sleep with a guy who finds them attractive that she doesn't find him attractive. And around 70% of men would rather sleep with a girl that they find attractive that the girl doesn't find them attractive. So if you just look at that statistic, you realize that just showing your interest and being interested in a girl already gets you one foot through the door. Then they will consider you as an option. You can't even consider a girl as an option if you have not shown her interest yet, because she wouldn't even try. Girls typically have so many fucking options, so many disgusting guys who send them dick pics online, that if you don't show them any interest, they're just gonna assume that you're just simply not an option for them, because they have already so many other options to choose from. So if you haven't shown any interest to a girl, you have no right to get pissed off that she doesn't like you back, because she's not gonna risk losing the security of feeling rejected to a guy who isn't even part of her options list. So she will never show you interest back until you show interest first. Just completely assume that relationships are not so simple, and holding on to that hatred you have towards promiscuous girls takes away so many potential wonderful connections, wonderful conversations you can have, opportunities to understand the other gender. And holding on to this incel hatred mentality is really robbing you of so much more opportunities and so much more, wonderful stories that you can have. Holding that hatred towards the world really diminishes your ability to fully integrate with the people around you. And if you allow yourself to love a little bit more, to trust a little bit more, you're going to make friends much quicker. You're going to be able to be honest with these people, because let's say you genuinely find something disgusting, right? And you let her know that. Of course, respectfully you do so. It doesn't mean you chase them away, Sometimes they respect that. I had this experience where I have a really close friend, and she was telling me how she has a boyfriend. We went to eat at fucking Carl's Jr., a burger place. But am I going to specific later? She knows I'm talking about her. We went to get lunch together, and she has a boyfriend. And she told me that, within the people that we know, she has several sexual encounters with a few guys that, we both know, even while she's dating a guy. And if I was as hateful as I was in the past, I wouldn't be able to have this experience where, I find out from her that she does regret it and she does want a long term with her boyfriend, but this is a vice that it keeps happening to get back on, and she is genuinely a caring and good person, aside the fact that her boyfriend is not going to be very happy with that. But if you hold on to this hatred, you're never going to have opportunities to connect with people of that group. And when you lack connection with a group because of the unwillingness to have conversations about the topic that you have a strong opinion about, that's what creates violence, that's what creates misunderstanding, and that's what creates a lot of bigoted conversations and a lot of bigoted, unreasonable hatred towards a group. So you have to be willing to let go, to have conversations, to try to understand and try to love the person, and not immediately assume that they are inherently evil. So all in all, I just want to remind you to not hold on to this hatred, because it doesn't benefit anybody, and letting go of it will actually let you connect with more girls and become a more attractive guy. Focus on the right things. There's nothing wrong with wanting to become more attractive, because especially at a stage where you feel a little bit scarce and you feel a bit devoid of female attention, right? Female attention can be a very healing thing. It's very fun, and it's completely natural and biological for you to want it. Don't let anybody shame you for it. I'll see you tomorrow. It's a better work.